Hey gang, it's Jeff from the James Freddy's channel. I'll bet your F-body first gen has some rusty floors in it. We're going to show you how to fix them up. Now I always want to use a wire wheel, and I always want it to work real well. I've got a couple other ones that go on a 4.5 inch angle grinder, and it never quite satisfactorily does the job. And I always revert back to these Norton Blaze clean strip discs. For starters, we're sitting here on the passenger side of our 69 Camaro and we're looking at the floorboard. And that is an old rusty little spot right there with a little bit of silicone over it to stop it from getting worse. And that is the patch that we're going to repair. Over here to the side towards the transmission tunnel, I broke out with my trusty wire wheel, and I was just gonna clean it up and see how punky the metal on that side was, and it'll take the top little layer of orange surface rust off, but when you get down into the deeper pits of the metal, it just tends to shine it up. So with literally just a few seconds worth of the Norton Blaze clean strip disc, I was able to bring a lot of that metal up to shiny metal. So we're going to go ahead and get down and get that thing cleaned up. And so this area right in here is suspect, meaning I think it's all going to be just fine, good metal, and that we're not going to have to mess with it, and that our patch will end up looking something more like this, just to get rid of that bad stuff right there. But before I make any definite plans, I want to make sure that all the suspect metal is cleaned up and solid. Alright, now upon initial inspection, after cleaning up and letting the air compressor turn off, the metal through here is deeper. The pitting is deeper than I expected, and so I need to take that in consideration. It's not like it's poking through, but I don't know that I want to leave it in there if I'm already in here doing a repair. So it's a little bit, that's not bad, you know, but you know, now the decision comes, where and how large do we make our patch? It's beautiful up and along here. It's all beautiful and through here. So, I mean, that never got touched. I'm going to be naive again and just remove the passenger compartment floor pan, even though it looks pretty pitted on where the firewall comes down to meet it. So I may need to take it up into here on the firewall as well. It was so fun. Let's do it again times 2 over on the driver's side. Why bother going through all the trouble of stripping it? I've got bad areas here. It's pretty deep pitting along here, very deep pitting along here, and even back here we got pinholes coming through. I mean, let's just do it like we're gonna do it. So both drivers and passenger floor pans are going to be getting a little bit more sizable patch repair going than I was initially hoping to do, but we're in here, we're doing it, let's give it a go. So I originally wanted to make the patch as small as possible and try and do something in this range. But after stripping and seeing how deep the pits are over in here, down in here, we've got this floor damage and buckle in here. We could easily strike a line along this rib, go up and over the cross member for the transmission, and out past the thing. I had originally thought that I would go the 90 down to the factory seam and do the plug welds along the rocker here, but when I show you the patch, you'll see what the plan has changed to. Following on the same straight line here, we can come up and over and cut into here. This is considered a rust patch, so they take the pans up higher than the original pan. The original floor pan actually ends right here, where there's a series of plug welds that butts the floor pan to the firewall or toe kit. So when they make a rust patch, they bring it up because usually there's a lot of rot in here. We're going to keep this long until we get the other one out to see. I cannot, however, go to the original factory plug welds along the side here because where they broke it and put a 90 from the factory, this is about an inch long seam here, and as you can see here, this is topping out at under a ½ inch, and I can't even put the holes for the plug welds in that. It would just be a nightmare. So we're going to end up coming pretty close to this 90 in here and just do a butt weld as well. So it'll be butt welded back here, through here, somewhere up in here yet to be determined as we inspect our patch closer, and then along the seam. This is CHL. This is pretty decent quality sheet metal. I've worked with and gotten those before. That's decent. The driver's side, on the other hand, is over here. It is Spectra Premium. Battery was, while off camera, I went ahead and jacked the car up, put a jack stand on it, and then undid the bolts for the subframe connector, lowered the subframe connector, and got the fuel and battery cable lines down away from the floor. So I've also pretty much got these floor patches to close to approximate final dimension, and I marked the floor. Took some 3/4 inch tape, and I'm now going to cut a hole about 3/4 of an inch smaller than the final dimension, and that way I'll be able to get a more precise fit as we go along. Since I last turned the camera on, I finished up all the plug welds, and then I started coming around and prepping for my butt weld. And of course it's completely used up right now, but I took a 3/32 inch cutoff wheel, and I would cut from one cleco to the next, go under the car, remove the cutoff material, and then just make sure it was butt and put a tack all, and then I'd go further until I was all the way around. We're going to do the same thing over here. Only much bigger. Same thing, I've set this down. I got the brake line out of the way. The speedo cable was in there. All that. We got the flange off, and luckily again on the top there, we're all good. So we don't have to go into the too quick. We can just do a series of plug welds there, so that's nice. Here is the patch on the driver's side floor, all welded in. We will have to cut open the drain hole there, and right now I'm getting kind of burnt out on this repair because it's kind of hot. I've gone ahead and taken a light and confident that I've got all the little pinholes. Passenger side over here is done. I kind of ground down the tops of the welds, but I'm not gonna go overboard, at least as of yet. I think I'm just gonna kind of leave it with a light grind and go from there. Down under the car we've got one more floor patch to work on, and I'll show you that, but like I said, I'm getting burned out of working on this repair. Down here under the seat pan of the vehicle is a big scrape hole that needs to be welded up. I'm going to look at that patch pan that we got and see if I can get a little section out of that and then just cut it out, because I can't really beat it flat with the seat pan being welded in at the top. Here's a look at our welds from the bottom side, and yes, I should have taken more time to clean up the parent metal where the new patch mates, but you know, sometimes you just get in there and get it done. So that's going to do it for this video. I'm going to go ahead and get in there and reattach this subframe connector and get the car back sitting on its wheels, and we're going to go ahead and start looking at our next repair. I could give you a couple of hints as to what that might be, but in the meanwhile, please take the time to like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you're already not a subscriber. Thanks so much for tuning in. On the floor under the rear of this Camaro here, besides the massive mess that was left over from doing those floor pan repairs, is a hint to the next custom job we're going to do to this car. If anybody can identify that bumper, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts in the comment section. And then also, where I'm kind of leaning towards right now is pulling this door off and getting it dug out and seeing what is actually there to fix up. So we'll see what the next video is.